It was very much like that when I was a boy. It was just the same, really. A cold morning. I can remember that in January in 1976. And I'd just had my breakfast just 5 minutes before, just like all those boys. And then I came into that practice room, and very quickly we started singing. The sensation that I had when I heard all the boys around me singing, it just blew me away, and I was moved, I was touched. Something sort of struck me that this was like nothing I'd ever heard before. I suppose I put down to that moment that I knew that I wanted to be a musician. I wanted to do that. At 8:15 in the morning, in this medieval building, singing for the first day, and I'd come all this way, from Derby to come to this place in Winchester, and I'd left my mum and dad, and that seemed very sad, but actually discovering this music, that seemed to be the reason for why I should be here. It feels very emotional because I make music today. It's my way of life. And yes, I can see that even as a child coming here, the way of life had already begun. And yet I didn't realize that at the time. I had no idea. I have these memories when I look at the school now and I hear the boys singing, ultimately of a lot of happiness because of the singing, which just changed me, and I just loved it. I just love to sing every day. But then occasionally I can just also sense just around here a bit of sadness because I did have to go away from my family to do this. I see all those boys this morning in the practice, and they're very young indeed, and I was 8, and they've left their mums and dads to do this. You have to wonder now, as an older person, is that right? Is that normal? For me, it clearly was so much the right thing, because I can't see where else I could have been exposed to all this music, where every single day I sang with 18 boys in this team, which we made the music together to such a high standard, and where we'd sing so much music that I now conduct and work with. I heard it all here. Cathedral choir boys have been going into that practice room, well, for at least the last 100 years. But of course there's been a choir of men and boys in a cathedral like this for hundreds of years. And before that, monks probably singing as part of an abbey. Looking back and realizing the opportunities that I had to be part of this tradition, I think it's so precious and something that we should do everything we can to preserve. Although it's a musical education that was the thing that I really benefited from, it was also a broader education. We rely on each other. And I think that reliance and dependence on each other, looking back, is actually what I learned through the music.
Right, Right, now we need to look and see if we've got Mr. Layton's name on the bench somewhere, don't we? If he scratched it in when he was here. Can you find it, anybody? Well, it could have been anywhere, Charlie. It could have been anywhere. So you have a look on yours. The benches move from time to time.
It was round here. This
Anybody?
bit,
But this bit doesn't go there.
I do feel that in my position as a musician and a conductor, I do have a responsibility to make sure, particularly actually, that the British music, shall we say the English music, is kept alive. When I use that word, I'm really thinking about music from William Byrd and Thomas Tallis, the great Renaissance period of English music. And this particular music of Tallis and Byrd, there's no doubt, has something special when it's sung by boys. That's clearly how it was conceived, and this is why it's so important to keep this cultural heritage alive and have these boys singing in cathedrals. This is one of the longest cathedrals. I think it's the longest nave in Europe or something. It's a very big place, and this bit here is called the choir area. And I used to be in those stalls. That's where I'd sing. And this would be every day apart from Mondays. And on Sunday, we'd sing 3 times. They still call the people that look after it the holy dusters?
Yeah. That is us.
That's right. Yeah, right. It's a bit changed. I was a choir boy here a long time ago, and I remember that was the
Happy memories.
terminology. Yeah. Michael Stancliffe was the dean, and he'd stand up and he'd thank the holy dusters and the brass band from the pulpit. I remember that distinctly.
I think they do sort of once a year. Do you still sing?
I do. I'm a conductor. It's a fantastic feeling when you sing in a building like this, because suddenly the acoustic makes your voice sound even better than it really is, I think. And so you hear the sound floating around. and it's an amazing sensation as a little boy coming in here for the first time and discovering that acoustic. And suddenly all the music makes sense, because so much of this music, the Tallis and the Byrd and the Purcell, of course it was written for these buildings. The composers, they saw these very stones that we're looking at. That's what inspired them to write the music. And so, in a kind of way, the composer knew what sound would be like once it came into these great buildings. So when you sing, if I were to go, Spem in alium nunquam ha,